think we're live.
All right.
Hold on, let me just refresh on here. Ta-da! We are live. Okay,
Mm.
fantastic. All right. Okay. Now back to the bad taste political jokes that we were sharing. Just kidding. Okay, so let me. What should we put in the chat? Hey, everyone, post your burning travel questions here. Okay. The fun thing is that it is possible to like remove some of the intro stuff later in studio, like for the replay. So I'll probably do that. Okay, so let's get started. Hi, everyone out there in the interwebs. I'm Angela, and I am joined again today by my friend Smith Gardner. Smith, why don't you very quickly introduce yourself to the people at home?
Hello, everyone. My name is Smith Gardner, and I'm an interior designer living in Brooklyn, New York, and longtime amateur traveler and travel enthusiast and travel planner, and excited about our topic today. Something I know a little about.
Something he knows a lot about. So let's tell the people why we think we have authority on this topic.
So, Christmas markets. They are European Christmas markets specifically. They are a thing. You're probably starting to see them more um, popping up on social media and in the culture. They've been around forever, hundreds of years. It's the classic winter celebration around the December holidays. And we had the really awesome experience. We spoke in a previous video. We talked about our first experience doing kind of a whirlwind trip in Europe, and at the time, a lot of that was driven by finding a great deal on a flight, and
Mm-hmm.
that also coincided with traveling on a holiday, which at the time I think was really not as common to travel on Thanksgiving Day. So we get this great flight. Can you? I'm getting some. Did you hear that? Yeah.
You got it.
Um, and also off season. Like this isn't summer. It's not, the week before New Year's. It's
Mm-hmm.
so grabbed a great deal late November, early December, and so we were driven by that. But we kind of almost had this like magical experience that we kind of landed directly into. We took a red eye from New York Thanksgiving night and landed at the official start of the Christmas market season, which throughout Europe usually starts around the Thanksgiving time and runs through Christmas Eve. And we were in Vienna, and I just remember kind of, we were groggy, we were sleep deprived, but it was cold. It actually, like nowadays, depending on where you are, sometimes, Christmas isn't quite as chilly as it used to be. But
Mm-hmm.
I just remember being like bundled and walking around and everything was decorated. That memory of just seeing this entire city really like put make space and celebrate this season was just this really cool and almost unexpected feeling of joy and mirth and like a real
Ooh.
authentic experience. So
So
really fond memory. Yeah.
let's summarize really quickly. Like we have been to a ton of Christmas markets. We started with like a
Yes.
Central Europe itinerary, so that's what Smith is talking about. We started in Vienna, Prague, Berlin.
Don't forget Bratislava.
Bratislava, the day trip to
Yeah.
Bratislava. Um, and then right after I
And
moved,
Dresden. Don't forget
oh my
Dresden
gosh, we
as
did
well.
do Dresden, which we should talk about Dresden a little bit more. I really want to go back this year. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so we did those four markets in that first trip. And then it was either 2019 or 2020. We did all of
19. Yeah.
not all, but we did the two big French markets. So the Alsatian markets, which is like Strasbourg and Colmar, which are
Colmar.
very beautiful. And then
And
just
I had
last
been,
year, we did more of like
but
the German markets. So we've done like a good mix. And there are distinctions. We should talk about those
yeah.
distinctions
And actually,
later.
on that trip when we met in Strasbourg, my husband and I, or then boyfriend, or had been in Ghent in Belgium and
Mm.
Luxembourg
Oh, so you had
on our
already
way.
done those markets too.
So we had done Belgium and Luxembourg and France on
Okay.
that trip. So we've yeah, we've hit a lot. Like and most recently we met up last this past Christmas in Munich. You came down and met me and my husband and our families as we were
Mm-hmm.
doing kind of the hits of Vienna, Salzburg, Munich. Um, we came down and spent some time in Munich, which for their markets. And was it which trip? That same, oh, at the beginning of the trip, you and I were in Frankfurt and then also went
Yeah.
to
Rudesheim.
Rudesheim.
Yeah.
Yeah, which had its own charm. And I finished that trip swinging through Liechtenstein. Got to put
Another
in,
country.
yep, um, Basel and Zurich. So quite a few Christmas markets under my belt, I will say.
Is there anywhere that you like have not done a Christmas market? Like any region that is not so like have you done any in the Nordics?
No Nordics, so I think that's a really exciting opportunity, especially because that's your best chance as someone who fully loves. I love winter and I love snow.
Mm-hmm.
I love ski trips. I live in New York. I wish it snowed more. It barely snows anymore here, and
Yeah.
it makes me so sad. I grew up in South Carolina where snow was truly rare, and
Mm-hmm.
I will shovel our stoop and our sidewalk as many times as I
Happily.
need to. Yeah. Um, so I haven't been to Nordics because you are going to get like a real, it's going to be colder. It's going to
Yeah.
be, you're going to have a better chance of snow, and they have a real, their own traditions, or kind of distinct flair.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen, most recently, in August, my husband and I went to Tallinn in Estonia and Finland in Helsinki, which I
Mm-hmm.
think you also just recently
Just got
visited.
back. It was so cool.
And yeah, and I think it's both those cities are set up for a really great Christmas market, like one, two, like double,
Yeah. I would love to go
like,
to the Nordics and actually be there on, I think it's December 13th when they do like the procession of St. Lucia, which just is
mm,
super cool.
cool. I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with that, but that's cool. But to your other point, I've actually things that I wanted to do. I've never been to Paris and I've never been to London, and I've heard London is pretty
Wait, in the,
magical at
at the
Christmas.
holidays?
Yeah. So
Yeah. So that's kind of like a
London,
distinct, that's like a distinct thing that I think is, it's actually really, I think the best trip, like if you are someone who is like Christmas market curious, but that's not enough to like warrant a whole trip, I would actually say do something like Paris or London and then take a train to like Strasbourg if you're in France, or even just like, I mean, at this point, I think the Eurostar will take you to Amsterdam for sure, but they are. I think it will take you.
Brussels. I mean,
It'll take you to Brussels. But did you see this news that the Eurostar is also going to be taking people to like Cologne and Frankfurt in coming
I
years?
did see that. I
So
didn't see
like
Frankfurt, but I think I did see Cologne. Yeah, cool.
they're extending the line a lot. So like if you wanted that like traditional German Christmas market, like you could absolutely combine that with a trip with London. If you didn't want to spend that much time on a train, like you said, you can do Amsterdam or you can do Brussels. But yeah, I think that that is, and we'll talk a little bit about that too, because um, how you choose your itinerary for Christmas markets is like really, it should be personal. It should be like, what do you want to see? You guys did something
Yeah.
very cool this past time with Salzburg that we should talk about. So,
Oh, yes.
yeah, so let's before we get into like all of these details and all that, let's just give the people what they want and tell them what we think like let's each do our top three Christmas markets. Like if you're recommending markets to a someone who has never been to a Christmas market before, like what are the top three markets or cities, just like cities, that you're gonna say this is where you should go if you want to see Christmas markets?
Hmm. I would say, they're okay. I've got a couple. Um,
I think there's a big one that is going to be on both of our lists, and that's probably
that's right.
Strasbourg.
Well, I was gonna build to that one because let's just put the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah. No,
is it is the capital of
it
Christmas.
it
Like
really is. Like Strasbourg is
And
unbelievable. When you go
it
there and you see
is,
the degree to which they like decorate and everything, it's just
yeah,
it's awe-inspiring.
and a lot of it is like the geography of the town is set up that, I mean, it's a
Oh yeah, because
modern
you're within
city,
the Ile
but
de
the old town,
yeah,
Ile-de-France,
Ile de
or
France.
yeah, is quite, a medieval sort of half timbered, like the old town of the city is set up that they're able to really kind of cloister it and kind of like separate it off. It is everything is all the architecture is original. It's got,
Yeah.
but it does have a couple of great squares and there's a really nice flow to it. I mean, it was crowded.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it would be like now. I can only imagine in the 6 years since we first went. But it is,
There is a huge travel creator who lives here in Frankfurt, and she has like 1 million plus followers on Instagram, and that is the market that she is always posting about. And I'm just like,
yeah.
you know,
But I would
I know
say,
why she does it because it's the most beautiful market, right?
yeah, and I was, like I said, we were gonna sort of like stack rank, like to build, 3 to 1, but it's
That's one
the
for
thing I would
me.
say, it's one for me too,
Yeah.
hands down. And the thing is I love seeing different ones. I love this sort
Yes.
of just seeing the way people do, celebrate it
Like
differently and the
variety,
different
but within the same kind of like constraint of a theme.
sure. However, if you are building an itinerary, if at all possible, I would make that the last place you go
Ooh, okay.
because,
Interesting. Yeah.
and I thought about that when we weren't able to go back to Strasbourg this most recent time when I was traveling with my parents and in-laws, but I just think it's the place. I'd hate to be like,
Oh, to
you
start
know,
high and then everything's
I'd hate to
underwhelming.
be the guy coming on after Strasbourg, the next act. It's a tough
Yeah.
act to follow. And it is set up, it's set up to actually be this really great, it does because you're sort of close enough to a lot of big gateways, like
Yeah.
you are set up to make it sort of the final Strasbourg #1.
Strasbourg
Um,
is also just like Alsace is such a beautiful region. So it's northeast France. It feels a little bit German because it's in that kind of borderland region. And
a
it's
lot,
just,
a lot German, yeah.
I love to go to Alsace. It's like here you're drinking Cremant instead of champagne. You're eating hearty food. It really is perfect for that like winter feeling as well. So that's why I love Strasbourg. Okay, what is like a number two for you, or a?
#2, I'm gonna say Prague.
Oh my god,
Um,
I was gonna say Prague. It's real. Prague is
gosh,
just the city is so beautiful. It's like the beautiful medieval architecture, and then the markets there just, it's
yeah,
fantastic.
it is, and it is medieval. I think is it does feel different from
Other
the
cities,
other
yeah,
more Germanic
yeah.
or more not Victorian, but like a different. It does have this more medieval
Mm-hmm.
feel. I remember more of the like sweets and the the some of the more food offerings were kind of weren't as similar to like the traditional
Yeah.
Austrian German, fare. And it was also like our that first trip, and
Mm-hmm.
it might I think there was snow on the ground. Like
It was
it was
perfect. Yeah,
beautiful.
really,
Yeah.
really nice.
And also because I had been to Prague several times, always in the like height of summer, and this was
Mm.
as Prague was like just rocketing up. I think it's sort of hit a plateau. I mean, I mean, as in like it's now it's just always, now it's just crowded, but like
Mm-hmm.
for a while there, it was like the hidden gem. And
Yeah.
and so it was going, when we went in December, it was also so much less crowded than the other times I had been in June and
Mm-hmm.
July. And
Yeah.
so that felt like an actual kind of reprieve in a really wonderful way. And I can't speak to that now in terms of the crowds, um, but that was really cool.
Yeah, because
And
full
then
disclosure, when we were there, it was like 2013. So it was also before like the travel industry. It's just I remember you telling me I'm planning this trip to go to Europe Christmas markets, and I was like, what? Like, and now they're just so omnipresent. You hear about them all the time, and I even want to talk about like some trendy ones here in a little bit because on Monday there's a really trendy one that the tickets go on sale on Monday, and it like sells out immediately. Um, but yeah, I think that's another good observation. If you have been to Europe before, like in the summertime, and that's not your vibe, you want something that feels a little more relaxed and a little less mobbed. Christmas markets are still wildly popular, but they are also they're not summer in Europe by any degree. So
Right, right. And then third, I will just like putting me on the spot here. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say Vienna,
oh,
and
that's good. That's good. Yeah.
only because you never forget your first time, and it's, I just that is just, and I think that's part of the real excitement.
Mm-hmm.
It does, there is this sort of magic feeling when you get there and
Oh
you're like,
yeah.
I live in New York. We have pop-up Christmas markets in Union Square,
Yeah.
and it's a lot. I mean, to be completely frank, it's a very similar offering in terms of crafts and,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, so, or at least genres of offerings.
Yeah.
There
Mm-hmm.
are little huts, there are warm drinks. Union Square Christmas Market is not the, Weihnachtsmarkt
Yeah. For
of
sure.
Vienna in front of the Rathaus City Hall. I do, and the other cool thing about, when you are going able to go to a bigger city, um, you they're going to have more markets within the city.
Oh, we're gonna talk. We should
It's
talk about that. Yeah.
and
What?
so you're able to kind of get different vibes and different
Absolutely.
feeling
So if
feelings throughout. So that's my third.
this is a super important thing that Smith just brought up. So if you are traveling to like I went to Berlin last year and I like you could very well just go to one city and probably not have the time or energy to see every single Christmas market that exists in that one single town. Like I was in Berlin. I think I went to three, and then it was like, whoa, that's a little too much. So they are that popular. Now there's always going to be the one that is kind of like the main event, but because Christmas markets are so popular, they have like popped up throughout the city. There's already this captive audience that's traveling. Like here in Frankfurt, we have the really traditional market that happens down in the Altstadt. Um, but that's not even my favorite, like Frankfurt Christmas market. It's very iconic. People love to like photograph it because they have that beautiful, like antique carousel in the center of it. And you've got the Frankfurt has this really great visual of like the old buildings that have been rebuilt after World War II, and then we have the skyscrapers just behind it. So it's like a great picture. But my favorite is actually this smaller one that is called like the pink or the lila Weihnachtsmarkt, and it's I don't know if this is true, but somebody said that it's like a group of it's like an LGBT friendly market. I don't know if that's true, but it's just much smaller, so you're not navigating as much space. It feels very local, and they just have kind of like a wider selection of food and drinks. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing to keep in mind. Like if you choose a city, there's going to be a ton of variety. In fact, Smith, do you want to tell them about the like unique market that we went to in Munich? Do you remember the like themed market that we went to?
The medieval one?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was very different from the other, the really classic one in Munich is in Marienplatz, like right in front
Mm-hmm.
of the clock tower, City Hall. It's packed. It was busy. It's busy every night. But as Angela said, a city like Munich, large and with the space and the different opportunities to have different markets that have other vibes, and they had a really cool medieval market that with everything from the food and the decorations and the crafts and wares that were sold, had its own feel to it, which was really cool.
like if you are a Game of Thrones fan, like that would be the Christmas market for you. Like it was
Yeah.
really cool. And there are these, like I said, there's these like alternative Christmas markets.
Yeah,
Before
there
we
was an
move on,
LGBT
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in Munich as well. That
This is also a very popular like kind of like an LGBT friendly market. But before
you
we
didn't
move
pick your
on,
third.
this is what I'm gonna say. So for
Oh,
my third, so we just went through the top three. We both agreed on number one as being the Strasbourg market. My both agreed on second one being the Prague market. Smith's number three was Vienna, which is a very good Christmas market city. Mine, I'm gonna go with Cologne, Germany. It's really delightful. It's really delightful. There's the main market happens right next to the Römer, so the big cathedral, and I just first of all I love Cologne. Like Germany is seen as a kind of like cold country, but like Cologne is its like warm heart, and so anytime that you have an excuse to like go to that city and drink some Kolsch, and I absolutely love it. It's a little bit larger as well in terms of like crafts and things for sale. So I think that if you're looking for a shopping market, that's a really good one.
that's
Um,
awesome. That's a
so
great
this
point.
is this is
I have not done that one, and it's on my list of next time I'm kind of anywhere close to Strasbourg, I'm
yeah.
gonna make Cologne work.
So this is the point at which I will just plug my other video on the channel. I have one video where I go through these like 5 itineraries that I would recommend if you're looking to do a multi-city Christmas market tour. So I will, for the replay, I'll like link it up here. But let me tell you about this trendy market that is like all over social media right now, Smith. So there is this market. It is called it takes place outside Germany. It takes place in the Black Forest, and it's called the Ravenna Gorge Christmas Market. And I'm sure you've seen the pictures. Do you remember when we were in Cortina and the way that the like entrance had those like big arched, it's like almost like an aqueduct. Do you know what I mean? I'm talking about?
Yeah. Hmm.
So there is this very small town in the Black Forest that basically has like an aqueduct or a train track, and underneath in that tiny little valley, they do a Christmas market. It's ticketed. You have to buy tickets. I think they go on sale on like Monday. And from what I've heard, it sells out every single year in October. So as much as I like hate hype, I am naturally trying to get tickets to go to this Christmas market. Just because I'm
Where
curious.
where is this
Hold on,
in the
let me
Black
get
Forest, you said?
yeah, let me do the proper Google Maps. So it's called the Ravenna Gorge Christmas Market. Gorge right now. Is this right? So kind of by Freiburg. So yeah,
Got it.
yeah. So
Well,
yeah.
I wish you well. I hope if you make it there this year, I'd be so curious to hear your feedback. Um,
The other
yeah, I
ones
mean,
that
there's
I
still
really
a
want to
few.
go this year, I really want to do. I want to go back to Dresden, and I want to do Nuremberg for the first time. That's another
I
like
was just gonna say it's
grand.
funny. It's considered the biggest or the oldest. It has
It's like the
some sort of
grand
superlative.
German. Yeah.
It's got a really big square, and you have just sort of rows and rows.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, and I have not been full disclosure, I have some of what I've read and seen, and like the vibe I've picked up is that it's the biggest. It may not be the best, but it's the biggest. But I would love to go and check it out for myself and form my own opinion. But I know it has some sort of superlative. It's either the biggest in Europe or the biggest in Germany or the oldest in Germany. I can't recall, but and it's easy to do from Munich by train.
Yeah.
It's about an hour. Um,
Yeah. So there's another one that we should mention as being incredibly like it should be on your list, and this is Copenhagen. And here's why: because they have an ace in the hole. If you want to go to Copenhagen and do a Christmas market, first of all, you get that taste of like the more Nordic. It's not Glühwein, it's Glögg. Like you get those
yeah,
differences, but And if you can do it right, this is the way to do it. I was there. I was there. It must have been 2019. I did not do it right. I was a little too early, but there is a charming, like Victorian theme park, Tivoli.
Oh, Tivoli. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that they will open for a couple select weekends in Christmas. So you can go from the main Christmas market and then like walk into Tivoli and see the amusement park all like lit up at night. So that is another, if you're looking to do like a very cool Christmas market experience. Um, Copenhagen, it gives you that like perfect winter feeling, and then you get to go and see the lights in Tivoli. That would be another
Yeah,
like really
cool.
superlative one.
I'm curious. I don't know. Last year before we met up uh in Munich,
Mm-hmm.
I was in Sevilla uh with my family, my in-laws, and we had a wonderful time. I did not see very much, and granted, this was around Thanksgiving, November 30th. Um, so it was late November. It wasn't, maybe we left on December 1. Didn't see, I saw very little Christmas decorations, which
In
surprised me
the south of
in
Spain.
Spain, in Sevilla, because obviously they're very, I'm sure they have a lot of Christmas traditions. It's,
Yeah.
very, so I haven't done any sort of Southern European, but, and I
Yeah.
know they have a lot of Christmas traditions. I don't know if the markets are quite, I think that may be more of a Northern European thing,
I would say historically it
but
is
I'm ignorant. So
I would no, but you're hitting on something that's like an interesting thing. So I would say historically it's definitely a Northern European um like tradition. When I looked into the history of it, it's very much a Germanic history kind of thing. And of course there are these like 20th century events where retail becomes important, and so the markets become even more important, that are quite interesting too. But like at their at their core, they were these like medieval kind of holiday festivals where people could come and sell and buy wares just before the holidays, right? The trend that I notice now, though, is that Southern European countries are kind of like trying to get in on the action, if only for the fact that if you think about like Spain, Portugal, Italy, their economies are already so um, tuned into tourism that like for them to capture another season, like they can't leave it on the table, right? So like I have been hearing a lot about a colleague told me about, they were in Verona last year and they said it was a beautiful market, very very small, not a huge market, but like well lit up and very nice. I will mention, if you're in Italy, the most traditional markets there are going to be in the Tyrol, so the area around the Dolomites, which are rather Germanic and kind of Austrian in flavor anyway. And so if you're in like Bolzano, you can go to some really cool markets there as well. But like I put a comment last year in like a blogger group and I was like, does anyone want to collaborate on something about Christmas markets? And I had like three bloggers who just blogged about Portugal like respond to me, and they were like, our Christmas markets are big, they're growing. And I was shocked. I was like, really, Portugal? So I think that that is kind of growing in importance, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case in Spain too. But that is the thing that you're kind of hearing a little bit more about, is like Christmas markets in places you wouldn't expect them, right?
yeah, yeah, I think your point about capturing another season
Yeah,
is spot on.
yeah. So, okay, now let's give the people some like tips about yeah, just like day in the life of being someone who has just touched down. You are about to be going to some Christmas markets. What should you expect in terms of how to structure your day? Like, when should you be going to the Christmas markets? What should you expect in terms of the crowd level? Yeah. And then
Yeah.
lastly, as even though it's part of the charm, like, what should you expect in terms of how to keep warm? And I have a couple hacks for this one.
So I run very hot, and and if I'm drinking a hot beverage, and
It all balances out, yeah.
I don't care about that. So I'll let you take that one. The first thing I will say is check schedules
Oh, this is
before
a good tip.
both
Yeah.
before you go, like
And
before
before
you
you
plan that
book.
trip,
Yeah.
before you plan the trip. And then
Yeah.
also when you're there, different markets will have different starting times.
Yeah.
Some may be evenings only, some may be weekends only. So check schedules,
Mm-hmm.
but also check the calendar as well. So some start as soon as Thanksgiving or American Thanksgiving, and but some we were in Ghent, Belgium back in 2019, and
Mm-hmm.
we were there maybe December 8th or so, and the market had opened like the day we got there. So shorter
Yeah.
season, almost many of them, I would say outside of the biggest cities, London, France, I mean London, Paris, Amsterdam, many of them are going to end on Christmas Eve or Christmas
Yes.
Day, like Christmas Eve. Like that is this the hard stop. Unlike in the US where you sort of have this like spillover
Yeah.
into New Year's.
I will say,
Um,
however, this is also why you should check because in Central Europe, um, a lot of them will also sometimes go until January 6th, with which from like a European standpoint, this is not an American thing so much, but because they follow more of the like religious calendar than the kind of commercial calendar here in Europe, two holidays that are not as big of a deal in the States, but they really matter to the Christmas season here. One is December 6th, St. Nicholas, which I think that's why you were in Salzburg. And then the other one is January 6th, the Epiphany. So that's like the hard stop, the final kind of day of the Christmas season. So there are a couple of
the 12
markets.
days of Christmas.
Yeah, there are a couple of markets that will even go that far. I think these are mostly like Danube markets. If we're being
Yeah.
honest, I think it's like Bratislava and Budapest are some of the ones that go that long.
Also, it's just been my experience. I think as this grows in popularity and attendance, you will probably see, you know, in the being the good capitalists that we are, like you will probably see these markets extend more. It will probably be more frequently. You'll see more that will run longer as
Mm,
this grows in
yeah.
popularity, because that is one just sort of underlying point and observation. Having done a multi-city, multi-market trip in 13, 19, and 24,
Yeah, to see like
the
how the Christmas markets
this
have
the change in
changed.
popularity. It
Yeah.
and listen, it's that's also reflects tourism generally, and the fact
Mhm.
that Americans have so many more options and ease of travel and to get to Europe now with all these crazy new direct flights and interesting new ways to get there, different airlines. So it has become more and more popular. But going back to just sort of like thinking about the trip and the day, and so number one, check schedules for sure. Um, they're going to be the trade-off. Speaking of crowds, though, and your experience in the
Mhm.
markets, there will be it will be a lot less crowded during the day if you're
Yeah.
a tourist, you're visiting. So obviously you're not
Mhm.
coming, you're not there to work unless you're
You're
like a
not coming
digital.
after work. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be less crowded during the day. Um, the trade-off is you're not getting the magic of the lights and and that there is something that is incredibly special and it should be
Yeah.
experienced. But if you're wanting to see different parts of the city, um, or different markets within a city,
Mhm.
maybe it's a good opportunity to do a day trip, but it will be less crowded during the day, but you're not going to have the magic. But to that point, and this is one thing that I think is really cool about these markets, is that they are actually they are truly for the towns, the locals themselves, and
Very
embraced.
true.
It's not something like Times Square in New York where it's just tourists. It is, you will see tourists in there, and as we've discussed, there are more and more people going. Um, but people in Europe will go after work and meet
Yeah.
friends and do a lap and do a walk around, have a drink, have a bite to eat. It really is a communal, social experience for the people that live there and
And
embraced by the people that live there.
Yeah, and I would say one thing to keep in mind about this is that here in Germany, for example, like I always joke about the German Saturday because you have to get a ton of stuff done because stores are closed on Sunday, right? So that means that shopping on a Saturday in Germany is a very like busy, hectic thing because you've got everyone doing it on the same day instead of like in the States where you can spread it out over 2 weekends or 2 weekend days. Um, the other dynamic that you have is like everybody who lives just outside of the big city comes into the city on Saturday. So it's just like a very busy thing. And that absolutely, like that dynamic absolutely applies to Christmas markets as well. So if you are looking at your itinerary and you're going to be in a city for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you know that you don't want to go to the market all 3 days, just sacrifice that Saturday. Go do something else. Don't worry about going to the market because those are the days where it is like shoulder to shoulder. You can't
Yeah.
move. It's way too crowded. Take advantage of, especially like Smith mentioned how locals will go after work, but like evenings during the week, like Monday through Thursday, those are prime times to go. You still get that like evening kind of feel, but it's not going to be as crowded with locals or local out of towners.
And it's not going to be dead. Like it's
Yeah,
going
not
to
at
be,
all.
it will
Yeah.
be busy. And that, and because I remember, nowadays talking about Strasbourg can't get you out of my mind. I was trying to structure another trip potentially and thought about, oh, like it's so festive. You feel like you want to save it for the weekend or whatever because you
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
and in my mind, I was like, absolutely not. It is going to be busy every
Yeah.
night. And I mean, less so. So I would say almost even maybe even smaller markets or smaller towns, if you're
Mhm.
structuring a trip, would actually, or just take the day off, go have a nice dinner, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I remember when we were in Marienplatz in Munich. I mean, it was shoulder to shoulder.
It
I
was
can't
busy.
remember. I
It was
think
really
that
busy.
was
Yeah.
either Friday night or Saturday night.
Yeah, it was
Friday.
a
It was the
Friday.
weekend, and
Yeah.
Marienplatz was truly shoulder to shoulder.
And I would
Um,
also say, like Smith said, like that's another, like these are the big, big, big markets are absolutely enterprises. Like I don't know if they're owned by the city, but like it's a lot of money. It's a huge production. But like a lot of the smaller markets, like that medieval market that we went to, I don't claim to know who is putting it on or but like that is kind of a small business enterprise and there are so many throughout the city, so like challenge yourself to go see something that's a little bit different. Um, where do you find these things, right? Obviously, the city's main like tourism website is going to break down the different markets. But honestly, like Reddit is so good for this. Like Reddit, just Google like Reddit Munich Christmas markets, and you'll start to see like people, local people, people that have visited before, like having real chatter about like what was their favorite market. So I think that's another kind of like tip if you're looking for these things, how to find them.
that's great. Yeah, absolutely. Um, One other thing just about logistics and is bring cash. I think it's one of the
Yeah,
places where, as Europe has, in different places in Europe, and this is something you and I talk a lot about and kind of comparing
the cash
places in
index.
Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. As someone who literally could not give away cash in both London and
Stockholm.
Stockholm,
Yeah,
um, it is still extremely cash heavy, especially I've found Austria itself to be still very cash dependent,
yeah.
relative to other countries. France is still very cash dependent as well, relative to other countries.
Can I
And
put two qualifiers on this?
sure.
The major qualifier is like if you're in a city, you're going to have more leeway, but I promise you the second you need like a coffee or a water from a small kiosk, it's cash only. And the other big qualifier, as Smith alluded to, the Nordics are so like in their own world on this. Do not get cash out if you're in Sweden, Norway, Finland, or Denmark because you will not be able to give the money away.
Or the most digital society in Europe, which is Estonia.
Yes, the like if you're a currency buff and like you want to take some money out of the ATM and take it home and put it in your scrapbook, that's wonderful. But I still have like Swedish krona that I can't give away.
Yeah, at least in Estonia, it's the euro, so you can,
Yeah, you can use
if you
it
did
somewhere
take it
else.
out, you could
Yeah.
always use it somewhere else. But but I still, I found that the markets, even in cities that are otherwise quite digital,
The
it
markets
was
themselves are
still
not.
the markets
Yeah.
themselves, it was worth having. You will have merchants that will still use that will have the little the handheld devices
Yeah, yeah.
to do a transaction, and sometimes they'll give you a discount if you have cash, if you're
Also, should we
um
can you talk about credit cards really quickly cuz you're an Amex person, but that's also a little
yeah, that I've given that these are more Northern European. I'm an Amex guy. That's my primary travel cards, and its adoption is really high. And I would say classic, both like classic centers of finance. I can
mhm.
use it pretty much everywhere in London, everywhere in Switzerland, and pretty commonly in the Benelux.
Mhm.
Uh, I would say the other funny thing is that Amex is also very widely accepted in tourism dependent countries. So
Like
really
Spain,
I
Italy.
full adoption in Spain,
Yeah.
Italy, Portugal, no issues
Yeah.
really. Less common, it was really difficult to use in Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia,
Ooh, okay.
Austria, very rarely taken in Austria.
Mhm.
Even France is pretty common these
Mhm.
days, but I found that Germany, Austria, Poland, a lot less Amex
Oh my
being
god.
used there.
Smith, you just said something that made me realize. Moment of silence. Both of us have never been to a Polish Christmas market, but this is the sleeper. Like these are the sleeper hits. If you're like, I want to go to a cool place with
I was
cool
thinking
Christmas
about that.
markets, the ones in Poland seem to be amazing. I have not
I
been
think
yet. Yeah, that's shout out to
that needs to
Poland.
go like, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that needs to be higher on the list. I'm really, like I said, the Tallinn, Finland, Tallinn, Helsinki double is really up on my list.
Mm-hmm.
um, because of the contrast in the cities. Like Tallinn was so medieval, and so I think
Oh
that would
yeah.
be just
There's
really cool.
yeah.
And then Finland has both this Hanseatic and Nordic,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
kind of both Baroque and
Oh
different
yeah.
different eras there, which would be a lot of fun. But Poland for sure. I think that would be, yeah, spot on. I think
Okay, so we talked about how to structure your day at the Christmas market. We talked a little bit about what to expect with money. Um, Along with money, this whole cash thing, let's talk about fond really quickly and the best souvenirs that you can get in Europe, which are the mugs from Christmas markets. So, um,
I brought my very own. I brought just a few.
I
Um,
have that mug. I have
This
the
one, this one must
Nutcracker
have
mug.
been from
Yeah,
Munich.
that's
Yeah,
Munich.
I
Yeah.
couldn't. It doesn't say it on here, which is sort of a bummer. But
So the
um,
fond system is like a German system. Fond is a word for I don't actually know what it means, but like we say fond deposit. And anytime you get like a bottle, like a plastic bottle or something, it's they put like 10 cents on your bill, and then you take that bottle and you can get that 10 cents back. It's the exact same thing at the Christmas markets. You'll buy a like Glühwein for, let's say it's €4, and then the fond or the deposit that you pay for the mug is €1 or €2. And then what many people do is they just take the mug home, and then for like a euro or two, you have this delightful little yeah, souvenir. So that's another reason why cash is super. Uh, this is also why you should stick with cash. Smith and I were just in Antwerp, and we like ate at an outdoor festival, and like the Fawn system, they printed me off a receipt and they said go to this app to get your money back. And I, of course, I still haven't done it. Like it was like
yeah,
€6 worth of fond, but like this is the other
yeah,
reason why even if you have a choice between cash and credit, Cash is going to help you out with the fund system because they'll just give you a chip, you bring it back along with the mug, and then you get your stuff
Yeah,
back.
or you bring your mug back and you get another one. You get another glue vine.
How many did you end up going home with last time? Because I know Brian was also he was
My husband
collecting
is an
them.
avid collector. Yes, and because you get this really wide variety, we're talking about the mugs at the Christmas markets where you get your hot beverages, traditionally glue vine. Um, we also saw there's what are some of the other Kinder Punch is a
Kinder Punch.
non-alcoholic
Oh my gosh.
um,
So the other
glue
one that
beer.
glue beer is the one that you had. I have this like amazing video of you going, my first glue beer, taking a sip, and then going, and my last.
Yeah.
The one that I always recommend to people is a drink called a Feuer Hold on. Feuerzogenbolle. Feuerzogenbolle. Anyway, it's a glue vine, but they take like a rum drenched sugar cube and they light it on fire, and then the caramelized sugar like drips into it. That's a really good one. The other thing that I have noticed is that Aperol, again, we're talking about like tourism businesses trying to like capture the fourth season. Aperol is really trying to make hot Aperol a thing. So you'll probably find hot Aperol at some places. It's just
Yeah.
Glühwein has come a long way. It used to just be like a red wine with, the mulled wine spices in it, but you can now get red, rosé, white Glühwein. Um, I also, this past year, here in Frankfurt, I saw a couple things that gave me pause. So in Germany, we have a very popular drink called a Hugo. It's all over Europe, but it's kind of like a gin and tonic, except maybe that's not right. It's
Elderflower, right?
Yeah, it's like elderflower syrup and I guess prosecco and some water, but you put a ton of mint in it and some lime. I've seen the hot Hugo coming basically they're taking the entire like summer drink menu and trying to just make it
Yeah.
hot. But then there are, of course, you've got your hot chocolates, your spiked hot chocolates, and your Eyre punch, or like the European answer
Mm,
to
eggnog.
eggnog. So there's
I will say
so many
though,
options.
um, I will say though, my poor mother, who loves hot chocolate, and which is not really that common in the United States. I mean, I guess you can get it at Starbucks or a coffee shop, but it's not like widely adopted. And I think she was so excited. And there were hot chocolate was way less common than I expected. Like
Really?
she's not a big Glühwein person, and
Okay.
um, and so she was, I think, really excited about just steaming mugs of cocoa, and it was so much less common. You could find it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, and maybe it was just where we were. I feel like maybe I bet probably more in like Switzerland and Belgium and France, like, or
Yeah, yeah,
places
yeah.
that have like a real chocolate
Oh, of
tradition,
course, yeah.
would probably see more of that. But we did not, I didn't see nearly as much of it in Bavaria and
Yeah.
Austria as I was expecting. So that was interesting. But yeah, and the Glühwein, the hot drinks are a huge part of it. The mugs are great. Leave space in your bag. Ideally, you want one that has the name of the place on it. This little one from Vienna has Maria Theresienplatz with the Kunsthistorisches Museum. Even better if they have the date, and you can really get one that captures the essence.
I would
And then
also
if you're
say,
like
do you have a
not digging
favorite
the mug, you
shape?
can just get your money back. What's that?
Do you have a favorite shape? Because I love the like bulbous one. Anyway, I don't know.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I
No
love them
favorite
all.
shape. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
Um,
So we talked about mugs. Um, just a couple tips. Smith already said that he runs hot, so he doesn't have any tips for how to stay warm. I'm the complete opposite. I love going to Christmas markets, but sometimes it is so incredibly cold out that you're like, how am I going to stay warm and actually be able to enjoy all of this? Um, so my tip, and it's made infinitely easier now that jean trends have kind of moved away from skinny jeans, but just like a pair of long johns under your jeans is a huge hack. obviously you can like layer with sweaters, but people often forget layering on the bottom. So that's my tip. Um, you may also have seen these like fleece lined fleece lined leggings that all the girls like got a few years ago. I don't like them. Just wear like pants or something. And on really cold days, I have even worn my like Bogner ski pants to the Christmas markets. So the good news is that once you're like in a crowd of people, it tends to be not so cold. But you know, sometimes we have one Christmas market here in Frankfurt that's like on the roof of a parking garage, and I just remember being up there and it was windy and just like I'm so cold. Okay, so we've talked about pretty much everything that has to do with Christmas markets, I think.
Yeah, and you know, I think we talked about some of what's on our wish list or kind of next where to go next,
I
kind of
want to go to
for the
Poland next. That's,
piquing our curiosity.
yeah.
Some interesting observation, like something about like sort of planning a trip that I think was really that I didn't really clock as much. We took our parents, my husband and I took our parents on a trip last year, and we did flew into Vienna, then did Salzburg, and then finished in Munich. I continued on for a few additional days, but that was sort of the core of the trip. And it was about 6 nights, 3 nights and 4 nights, or 4 nights and 3 nights. Um, and I think that was a great amount of time. It
Mm-hmm.
is, I will say, I'm not going to say they're diminishing returns, but they're the food and drink. It's hearty. It's often quite sweet. It's
Mm-hmm.
heavy. It's boozy at times, depending on your preferences. And so I think there is, I actually think a 5 day long weekend, essentially, if that's your speed to travel. With our parents, we wanted to take a full week and bookend it with
Mm-hmm.
2 weekends to give them some recovery time. And I think that worked really well. But one thing that my dad really liked, and even though Salzburg is not a small town, relative to Vienna and
Yeah.
Munich, which are regional or national capitals with
Mm-hmm.
huge institutions and city blocks and squares. Salzburg did feel very small. The town center felt very small by comparison. And my dad really enjoyed it. He was like, "Oh, I think Salzburg was my favorite." And what it said to me, or kind of what it made me think would be really valuable in planning a trip, is having a mix of a city and then the smaller town, and kind of being able to kind of see that. I think a lot about when
Yeah.
we went to Rudesheim in
Oh,
outside of
yeah.
Frankfurt along the Rhine, and just how it's such a different vibe. And
Yeah.
I think I in if I were doing that same trip over again, I would have probably planned maybe one more smaller
Smaller.
town
Yeah.
outside of the bigger city, maybe a day trip, or added a day to do a day trip. So I'm thinking, I know Alsace has a ton of really small villages. Colmar is quite famous nowadays,
Yeah.
and it also has like a famous altarpiece in the cathedral there. But there are a lot of other little tiny little towns in Alsace. I'm not going to think of the names of them right now. They're truly towns you've probably never heard
Mm-hmm.
of that have incredibly famous or really festive Christmas markets that are a draw from Strasbourg. Um, and so I think that's a really fun way, is to mix big city, small town. And it can just be a day trip with train networks and Ubers and cars and stuff. Most markets are, because it's dead of winter or kind of peak winter, it's going to get dark around 4 o'clock or so. So you're going to be able to have that real kind of magical evening, have a meal, walk around, get something to eat, and be done by like 7, 8 o'clock, if in which is kind of
Yeah.
lovely if you've had a long day. So you could actually still hop on a train and make it back to wherever you're staying or wherever you're based.
Yeah.
So that's my one thing I really want to plug is sort of the mix. I love cities and I like the bustle and I like the variety, as we've
Yeah.
discussed. but it was really interesting to get that feedback and also to in the way that we've experienced some of those really smaller towns and how they put on just as big of a show. I mean, I'm thinking of that really beautiful nativity that
Mm.
was in Rudesheim that was
Oh
like
yeah.
gorgeous, like carved nativity. There was that
Yeah.
little like performance, that
I'm
like
so
youth
glad you
choir
mentioned
performance.
performances. Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned performances because I feel like this is the one thing that you and I are maybe not so into, but like when you're researching Christmas markets, one of the things that they are often kind of talking themselves up for is like choral performances. Yeah, just I think that that is such a beautiful, wonderful way to take in the Christmas season as well. And something I'm trying to get better about for this year is like going to a Christmas market or going to a place that has a great Christmas market, but also like checking in with the local theater or the ballet because at the same time, so many of these places are also doing like Swan Lake or the Nutcracker. And that is just like, we talked about how Saturdays at these big, big Christmas markets can sometimes be a little too busy. That would be the perfect palate cleanser to like go to Vienna and then see the
Great idea.
Nutcracker. Like, it would just be the best way to kind of like break up, because it does, if you're doing a Christmas market focused trip, it's a lot of Christmas markets, right? So like you want to find a way to like break it up a little bit, and I think that taking in some of those like Christmas performances is such a great way to do that.
That's a great idea, for sure.
Okay. I don't think we have any questions. If anyone watching has any questions, you can absolutely throw them into the chat. Smith, I feel like we kind of covered everything.
I
Maybe
think
remind
so.
remind me, what was the thing that you did in Salzburg? Did you guys
Oh,
run?
yes. No.
No,
So
there was a
one of
run.
the quirks of the timing of our trip just coincided with the first week of December. It made the most sense. And I like that too. If you're able to, first of all, if you want to do a longer trip, you can kind of piggyback off of the Thanksgiving holiday if Thanksgiving is late in the year, like it is this
Mm-hmm.
year. But it also made
Nudge,
sense
nudge.
because, yeah, because it's also not that close to our American Christmas holiday of
Mm-hmm.
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and all the activities and hustle and bustle associated with that. So you're actually able to travel and have a nice trip and then still kind of be home and get your ducks in a row for the holiday. But when we were there last year, it coincided with as the December 6th, which is St. Nicholas Day, which is a huge tradition, Christmas part of the Christmas holiday season and tradition in Northern Europe. And especially my husband's from Milwaukee, and with obviously tons and tons of German and Norwegian and Nordic and immigrants, and that tradition they grew up celebrating, and still we do this now. St. Nicholas Day, where you
Mm-hmm.
get like
Yeah.
a sock full of oranges and candies and kind of small treats. His aunt and uncle are Dutch or lived in the Netherlands, and you would traditionally fill a wooden shoe.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
they have some of their own interesting traditions on St. Nicholas Day. Let's don't Google Schwarte Piet and all of that kind of stuff. But one of the cool things that coincided with our trip is in Salzburg and some villages in the Tyrol of Austria, they will do the uh I'm blanking on the name. What is it called?
the Tyrol,
No, the name of the I'm totally blanking on like the actual name of the
Saint Nicholas.
gremlin.
Oh,
No,
oh,
the
oh!
the like I can't even remember.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! It's coming to me! It's coming to me! Krampus! Krampus!
Krampus.
Krampus!
Thank you. Sorry. They do this thing called the Krampus run. Krampus is like this
Krampus!
like Santa's or Saint Nicholas's like henchman that punishes bad children who aren't getting gifts on St. Nicholas Day because they've been bad. And it's this sort of like horned demon thing. And in Salzburg, they have a Krampus run, and the Krampus, you have all these different parades of Krampus, Krampi, I don't know what the plural is. Um, and they come through and they ring bells and they make noise and they have birch branches and they'll beat bad children along the way. And everyone gathers to watch the Krampus come through town to punish the children. It's totally bonkers. We were there. It only happens one night throughout the Tyrol.
And it
We
was just a
happened to be in
happy
Salzburg.
accident.
Happy accident based on the way our trip was laid out. I will say though, that was the single we were in Salzburg, which was the smallest of the places that we visited, the cities we visited. And that single night was the most crowded, to the point that almost you kind of started to feel a little like, let's keep eyes on the exits and kind of figure out a strategy here. It was absolutely packed. Um, Really fun experience, really kooky. I think there are other villages in the Tyrol that do it as well, but that was a lot of fun and a really weird and unique hyper local tradition that
And
we were
how
able
did you
to.
find that?
I had seen it even in kind of very traditional, like I am a like long time Rick Steves, you
Oh my
know,
God, the OG.
love the
Yeah.
OG, the PBS videos. And he did a Christmas special years ago that sort of
Oh,
highlighted,
very
it's like an
cool.
hour long Christmas special, and it just sort of picks up different traditions throughout Europe. And that was one that he had highlighted in Austria. And I'd just seen some other content as we were planning the trip and realized that we were going to be there. We didn't make a specific, maybe we did. Like there was like a day here or there that we could have shifted, depending on this, but
Yeah.
it worked out pretty seamlessly to line it up. And it was really cool. It was a really fun experience. Very, very crowded. Don't know if I would do it again just because of the crowds, but
Yeah.
Salzburg itself was really magical. Like I said, it was my dad's favorite. I think he really liked the more like the smaller town kind of village
Yeah.
feel. Not that Salzburg is a village, but
Compared to
relative to
Munich.
Munich, it'd
Yeah, yeah,
be,
yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. Very cool. So, I think this call has helped me to kind of remind myself that I need to get to Poland.
yeah.
Because that's the
That's,
other
I think,
thing where I was like, every time I see them, because of course those are also super on everybody's like Instagram. That's
I
another one
think
that I really need to do.
the one that I really want to do, like London, Scotland. I think at Christmas would just be
Yeah.
really incredible.
But see,
Um,
I feel like
that's high for
London is
me.
not really about Christmas markets. London is about like you're in London and the lights and the way that they make the city up is
Sure,
beautiful.
it's like New York, as in like
Yeah,
seeing the
yeah,
store windows and the
yeah.
lights and all of that. Um, and but where I'm get me back to Strasbourg. And also I will say this was the last place I went last year. I was flying out of Zurich, and
Did they
the
have it?
main the main market in Zurich, that's my sleeper. It's not it's not gonna be on the top of everyone's list like the Pragues and Viennas and Strasbourgs and Copenhagen and all of those,
Yeah,
Berlin, but Cologne. But it was really beautiful decorations.
yeah.
I sat there in a wooden stall like hut and had a giant bowl of fondue by myself, and it was absolutely
When in
magical.
Switzerland.
Yeah. So little shout out to Zurich. Basel's was really cool as well. So
Yeah,
um I would, and Zurich's a great, and that's the other thing is like, when you're planning the trip, you're going to kind of probably start in some of the bigger hub airports, and
Yeah.
so just kind of thinking about that.
Amazing. Okay, there are two more questions that I have for you. They are not Christmas market related. You mentioned Basel, and I know one of our favorite parlor games is like, what are the best museum exhibits that are coming to Europe, whatever, this next, season, which is kind of like autumn and winter.
Yeah.
And they are doing, oh my gosh, who is the who is the ah Kusama, the Japanese artist, Yayoi,
Where? Yeah, yeah,
uh,
Yayoi Kusama.
Kunstmesse, the Basel Kunstmesse, 9999, Foundation Beiler, who
Oh, the
also did,
Fondation which is
yeah,
that's I was gonna say Basel, like Fondation is one of, I mean, that's in an incredible, that's
yeah,
the reason I was in Basel when I was there last year. And
okay,
I was in Zurich and I went to over to Basel for the day.
because we have
It's
friends
open
that
on
just
Mondays, which is great.
okay. Yeah, a lot aren't. We have friends that just moved to Basel, and so I'm like making my list of like when we go to Basel to visit them, and
It's a
that,
must.
yeah. So that's a show. If you remember when we were in Antwerp, the KMSKA also has the Magritte exhibit coming up, and the
Very cool. Yeah.
sleeper hit that I think, it's been a really long time since I've been to the city, but I feel like I'm going to try to do it in the next few months. Leonora Carrington, a dedicated show in Milan, and I think that is just going to be like I
Oh,
feel like,
interesting.
I don't know if you're familiar with her art, but like the cool girls that are into tarot, like that's like their artist, and so it'll be an
Very cool.
entire retrospective kind of dedicated to her. So
The arts, the seasonal or kind of draw exhibits on my radar are London, Paris right now. For London's going to have a Kerry James Marshall exhibit, which I'm
yeah, this
super
is the big
excited
one.
about.
Yeah,
There's another, I mean, when isn't there a Turner exhibit at like the Tate or but that one's another that's coming. But in Paris, the um the LV is just wrapped on David Hockney, but they have um gosh, give me 1 second. I'm gonna consult my notes because I kind of like
it's
made my
it's a German guy.
it's Gerhard Richter,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Gerhard Richter, but the Musée K. Bromley has, where are my notes? Because I was like, if I was able to do it, I was going to try and hit every one.
There's also the Foundation Cartier is opening. They're like right across from the Louvre, apparently.
Interesting.
So they kind of one upped LV on the real estate there. And then the other one, I don't know if this is an artist a ton of people will know, but like George Condo.
Oh yeah, George Condo.
George
That was it.
Condo
That's
in
on my
Paris.
list. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one I was.
That for
That's
me is just like a
absolutely
foundational artist. Like I remember there was like when I lived in New York City, there was a weekend where, maybe not a weekend, but there was a month where like I went to see Kanye West at Bowery Ballroom, and then a month later I went to see a George Condo show also in the Bowery, and George Condo did the artwork for that album, and it was just like
I'll have to send you a
imprinted
pic
upon
of
me.
the client the client of the house I was working on with the George Condo hanging over their fireplace. So
That's
yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah, and then there's also this really weird show that's happening in Potsdam. It's all about unicorns and like Magnificent Beast or something. I don't know. So
Interesting.
I harbor this theory that like German romanticism is coming back, and so that plays nicely into my trend spotting. But okay, my last question for you is do you want to do the next one of these? Because I think I've got one more coming up, and the topic is going to be the trend list for 2026.
Oh yeah. I am a sucker for a list, so let's do it.
So, what I think we'll do is we will talk about We should talk about the lists that like we read that we kind of give credence to. And when we talk about lists here, for anyone watching, we're talking about like those annual like where should you travel list, right? So
Yeah.
like this past year I did one, and it was so much fun just like thinking about where are the places that people need to go, that they need to know about, also where are the places that are like becoming hotspots. So I'm going to keep doing that for 2026.
Yeah.
And
I think we should have like a or we should like talk about that, like
we should.
contextualize that, and then we should drop a list like on the
Yeah,
so we could talk through the process and like also I think talking about the ones we like and the ones we refer to, and then
100%.
don't leave the people waiting. Or
um,
and I will talk, you will get some hot takes in my long-standing uh disdain for the times 52 places to go.
Spicy takes. I
Get
definitely
an
listen.
editor. Make some hard choices. 52 places in this
Well, you
economy.
know why? You know why it's 52 places, right?
Yeah, it doesn't come out until January 10th. You've already lost a week. That is what makes me, that is what does not make sense. It comes out 10 days into the year. So then it's no longer like ostensibly, if you had unlimited funds and you traveled all the time and that was your only
You've
thing, and
lost
you're
the
like,
week.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to do 52 weeks. Well, you know,
Yeah.
release it in December while people are sitting at home, like eating cheese and like, you know,
A
avoiding their
hundred
family.
percent.
Like, it's a great, don't get me
um,
started.
I actually think that like if we I love the New York Times list. I read it religiously, but I do think that if you like took the past few lists and like pulled out the things that you know, like here's my hot take. They're going to put Barcelona on the list even though nobody should go to Barcelona, but they're going to do it. And
Because of,
the Sagrada
yeah,
Familia is finally going to be completed and the copy is going to be
Milan
yeah,
2026, like,
like
gonna be
there
there.
there are certain
Yeah,
aspects of their list that are just so incredibly like
formulaic.
obvious, formulaic, or like you can tell that someone sent a press release and they were like, add it to the list. We
Yeah.
got 52.
Or, yeah,
Or then the
the
other
tourism
thing,
board of Qatar has, like,
100%. And then the other thing that's so funny is like they will do a list that's like, what was it, a few years ago they were like, this list is all about how you can help the environment, sustainable travel, blah blah blah. And then the next year their number one place to go was like Greenland, a place that does not need like a tourism horde to go. So
yeah,
it's always like maddening but fascinating to read their list.
yeah. I still read it. I mean, I just
I
find
love
it,
it, but I also am like, shut
I mean, but as someone who truly loves a list, at some point when you're scrolling and you're like, and number 37 is what? Like, what? Like,
it's like
make some choices. Pick 12. There's 12 months in a year. Like, if
make it
people went on
easier.
12
Yeah.
trips in a year, it would be insane.
Yeah.
Like, it would be like wonderful and,
Good for you.
you know,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah,
And listen, if anyone is like watching this and wondering, like, wow, these two are very fired up about a list. We used to live in Charleston, South Carolina, a place that I would argue was truly like changed for the better or for the worst. I can't say, but it was truly changed by its inclusion year after year after year on Travel and Leisure's list of like the best places you can travel in the United States. So these lists are fun and they're like cool to read and joke about, but like there are also real impacts of these lists. So
yeah.
that's also why we're kind of like interested to some degree. But I will give you one tiny little hint of a place, not a hint, I'm going to tell you. A place that needs to be on the list for 2026. I was just there and you were just there.
Oh, you're a full Helsinki head now, aren't you?
Are you not?
Mm, I'm not dying to go back.
Really? I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved it. Okay. This is
We
why
we had truly awful weather. It did not stop
oh.
raining from the
Ooh.
second we landed until the second I left.
We
It
had a
was
lovely
pretty
time.
much, yeah. It did not, it was either
Did you sauna?
gray heavy.
Did you sauna?
I did sauna at our hotel. But I
Did
didn't
you
do the like cool public one.
So
Um,
my boyfriend ended up going to like a free one north of town that was only
uh,
24 hours.
oh,
And
that's
he
cool.
ended up doing it at like 11 o'clock at night, like after we did dinner. Him and his friend went, and he was just like, oh my God, the sun was shining. Like, I think it's,
That's so cool.
and we should also talk, we'll also have to talk about like the emerging trends because what's happening in the Dolomites, I think that like nature tourism and like nature destinations, this is why I'm bullish on Helsinki. I just think that people like they want to get outside. Like the city break has been done to death, you know, and so they're
Yeah.
looking for different things. Yeah.
Color me, count me as someone who still is a city guy through and through. But yeah, I think there's something really there. I will have to say when you and I were most recently got together in Antwerp, which you like beautifully captured with your vlog.
Oh, thank you.
Um, uh, we were also thinking about if we did a flex and instead did like a more of like a hiking based trip in
Oh
Luzerne.
yeah,
Which I
that would be on
actually
the
and
list.
it's
Active
sort of
season.
not my it's not usually my priority, but that actually looked part of me was like, I really actually really want to do this and
Yeah,
make this a travel priority.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, let's do it.
All right, there's only one kind of requirement I have. We can't use the word coolcation because that's about to be the new like trend word. Like I'm also very bullish on Norway. Like a lot of people were in Norway. There was that story about that hiker that almost died in Norway. So I'm like, ooh, tell me more about Norway.
Yeah,
But
but I think
I'm not
that's
gonna say coolcation. I
but
refuse.
maybe everywhere. I don't know. Gosh, like I've heard that Norway was like just completely overrun. Same with
Yeah.
Scotland. Like every
Well,
because
I think if
these
you
are
have
small places. Like
yeah,
in
but I
terms
think if
of
you have a cruise port, like you're already dead. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So,
To be fair, or and actually, and this didn't even coincide with this, but um, my mother-in-law is like 23 and me ethnically, like 97%
oh,
Norwegian. Like her family,
okay.
from like immigrated from Norway to Wisconsin, and so that is a travel priority for my husband's family, and we're thinking about maybe trying to do something next summer. But
Oh, this is
um,
one of the trends. What some people call it like roots travel or like heritage travel, but you know, what took me to Bratislava all those years ago.
that's right. That's right.
Cool. Okay, so we'll talk.
Let's do it.
I
Yeah.
think the best way to do it is we should chat about like the trends that we think are going or like that informed the list, and then we'll unveil the list. And it will be 12 destinations. None of this 52 BS. Okay,
Love it.
Smith, as
Edit. Yeah.
always, it is so wonderful just hanging out and chatting with you. And to everyone that stopped by and like hung out and chatted with us, thank you so much. Like I mentioned before, we're going to do this again. It will also be the second Saturday of the month. So it will be, I think it's November 8th. You can check because the live stream is already like live on YouTube. It just doesn't have a fun picture. But yeah, we are going to be talking about the 12 places that you should travel in Europe next year um, by two people who travel a lot and are not beholden to tourism boards or anything else that we can slander the
Yeah.
New York Times for.
I can't be bought. I mean, I probably could, but I'm not being bought. So you're getting
I
my
could probably be
the
bought, but
yeah.
nobody's buying. So instead, we're
Yeah.
going to tell you the truth and tell you where we are going to prioritize our planning for next year. Um, yeah. All right. Thanks
Cool.
as always,
Let's
Smith. Ciao,
thanks,
ciao.
Ange. See you soon.
Talk to you later.